It's already been a really exhaustingly long week for me, but I can think of no better way to wind down than with some awesome new news for incoming changes to Destiny 2 alongside the Witch Queen from this week's issue of the Bungie Weekly blog, This Week at Bungie. What's going on, Guardians? My name is the Black Link, and hot off the heels of last week's TWAB, which covered a lot of incoming changes, we've got even more impactful changes to the game's economies, to some of the vendors, and even more. There's plenty of interesting stuff to look into this week, including an awesome solution to the overabundance of blue, rare gear that you're getting by just doing anything in-game. But anyways, let's go ahead and see what Bungie had to say this week. First things first, we got some interesting information about how power levels are going to be changing a bit when Witch Queen goes live on February 22nd. Essentially, the power floor is going to be bumped up to 1350, so any player who signs in will be at the appropriate power levels to start the Witch Queen campaign, even if they've taken a recent break from the game. So everybody, just like they've done before when they released expansions, everyone is going to have their minimum power level, the floor power level, raised up to 1350. And then from there, the ladder climb for power level is going to take you all the way up to 1500. Through general gameplay, players can reach the soft cap of 1500 by earning general gear through activity completions, chests, and more. This includes rare and legendary drops. Once reaching the soft cap, players will need to earn powerful drops from vendor challenges and other objectives in the game. Once reaching the power cap of 1550, the only upgrades that players will find are from in-game activities that offer pinnacle rewards. Your final stretch to the hard cap of 1560 will be through raids, Trials of Osiris, Iron Banner, and other in-game PvE sources. There will be some adjustments to Pinnacle and Powerful sources, as these shift yearly to focus on newer seasonal content and fresh Destiny 2 expansion content offered with the Witch Queen. Keep an eye on tooltips as you start completing activities, as they'll specifically note the different types of rewards that they offer. We have no doubts that our more eager players will create guides within a week of launch, but we hope that the power climb is fairly easy to understand once you get your boots on the ground on February 22nd. So there you go. That's the information about how power levels are going to be changing moving forward. The new floor for power levels will be 1350, while the new soft cap is going to be 1500 with a hard cap of 1550. From there on, you'll need to grind out those pinnacles in order to get yourself to 1560. So hopefully you and your fire team are raid ready. By the way, we actually got some information about when the raid is going to be going live as well. So make sure you save the date, because March 5th, 2022 is when the Witch Queen's initial redacted raid is going to be going live. And we even got a little bit of information to go along with that. They'll have additional details on contest mode, Bungie rewards, and other need-to-know information a bit closer to the launch date. But until then, get those time off requests prepared. But this is going to be occurring on a Saturday, so hopefully as many people as possible will be able to participate in the initial world's first race. But we're getting a little ahead of ourselves here. We've got some other major changes to talk about in this week's TWAB. Starting off with the fate of blue gear moving forward. Beginning in the Witch Queen, blue or rare rewards will stop dropping from playlist activities. This includes Crucible, Strikes, Gambit, etc. once players have reached the soft cap. Players above the soft cap, which is going to be 1500 power in the Witch Queen, will instead see a slightly increased chance at receiving legendary rewards from these activities or a small amount of legendary shards. Blue weapons and armors will continue to drop from enemies in chests while playing Destiny 2, but they hope that this will reduce the need for players to manage their inventories and reduce the frequency of visits to the postmaster when running playlist activities. So for those of you out there who have been crying for a solution to the blue engram problem, we're finally getting one with the Witch Queen. And overall, I gotta say I like it. I think everybody, has talked about stuff like maybe auto-dismantling blues after a certain point. I think this is a pretty good compromise. Basically, we're making it so that after you've reached a certain power level, instead of getting blues all the time, you're either going to get legendary shards or a chance at legendary engrams. I dig it. But it's not the only thing that's going to be disappearing in the Witch Queen. Because our good buddy Banshee44 is going to be seeing some big changes moving forward. Banshee is getting a new reputation system that matches the other vendors in the tower such as Zavala and Shax. This means that Bungie's going to be removing some of the items that were previously associated with the Gunsmith reputation, namely Gunsmith materials and weapon telemetries. Players will now earn reputation rank progress with Banshee 44 when dismantling legendary and exotic weapons and armor or by completing daily Gunsmith bounties. And of course, because of this change, players are going to want to spend their Gunsmith materials and weapon telemetries at Banshee 44 before Witch Queen's launch date of February 22nd, 2022. Any materials that aren't spent will be removed from your inventory automatically. But that's not the only thing that's going bye-bye. No. Mod components are going to be seeing a change as well. Bungie is removing mod components from the game, and starting in the Witch Queen, weapon and armor mods sold by Banshee 44 and 801 respectively will no longer require mod components to purchase, and instead will cost a flat 10,000 glimmer each. Furthermore, as a part of this update, Bungie is going to be increasing the number of mods available on each vendor at a single time from 2 up to 4. Now, because they're changing stuff with the Gunsmith, it means some specific Gunsmith boosting mods are going to be changing as well. In particular, the ghost mods that generated weapon telemetries are going to be removed. These include Arc Analyzer, Solar Analyzer, and Void Analyzer, as well as Omni Telemetry and Banshee Special. And if I could just pause right there, you guys might remember a conversation we had last week with the TWAB, with Bungie's notion that they're going to be taking away the Masterwork weapon ability of generating orbs of power by getting multi-kills with Masterwork weapons. And they're going to be putting that on like the helmet slot as a mod. I mean, I'm just saying, look, you're removing a bunch of features and you're removing some mods from the Ghost shell. Why not just add the ability to generate orbs on multi-kills to a mod that you're going to be putting on the Ghost shell rather than on the helmet, which, already messes with some builds. I'm just saying, you're getting rid of the telemetry mods anyway. Why not make it a ghost mod? I think that would work better. Anyways, let's move back to what Bungie's got to talk about, because Banshee and 801 aren't the only vendors who are going to be seeing a change. Rahul is seeing quite the expansion in the Witch Queen. Indeed, Master Rahul will be inheriting the Spider's material exchange duties in the Witch Queen. Exchange rates should match what you know from the Spider for now, but these services are being shifted to the tower as the Tangled Shore will soon be off limits to Guardians, as it gets thrown into the vault. In addition, Rahul will also be picking up some of the wares that Banshee 44 and 801 once offered, specifically the sale of enhancement prisms and ascendant shards. And as noted previously in the TWAB, this makes space for more mods to be available for purchase during a given week. Rahul will offer these materials at the same price as Banshee 44 and 801 once sold them. So for enhancement prisms, that means they're going to cost 10 enhancement cores, 25 planetary mats, and 10,000 glimmer. While for ascendant shards, it's going to cost 10 enhancement prisms, 100 planetary mats, and 50,000 glimmer. And of course, as a final note before we move on to some exotic news, Master Rahul will also be able to decrypt umbral engrams, so players will not have to hop between the helm and the tower to decrypt all the engrams in their inventory. Great change if you ask me. Focusing for individual seasonal weapons and armor will continue to live on with seasonal vendors in the helm moving forward. So if you want to focus on a specific weapon from a given season, you'll still need to head to the helm for decryption. But alright, finally, let's wrap things up with some interesting exotic news. As of February 22nd, 2022, the Harbinger and the Presage exotic missions will no longer be accessible. The team, of course, still wanted to preserve the ability for players to obtain random rolls of these weapons. Therefore, instead of adding these items to the Monument to Lost Lights, as they've done with most of their previous exotics that no longer have a source, these two weapons will show up as a part of Xur's inventory each weekend. Every week, Xur will offer a unique roll for both Hawkmoon and Deadman's Tale, and will be purchasable to all players that own Beyond Light for the following materials: 1 Ascendant Shard, 1 Exotic Cipher, 125,000 Glimmer, and 200 Legendary Shards. Meaning these weapons in their randomized form are going to be a part of the Xur inventory moving forward, at least keeping some of the excitement of something new with the Agent of the Nine. Moving on, we've also got some news about exotic catalysts, because of course we've got exotic catalysts tied to Hawkmoon and Deadman's Tale as well. Well, Hawkmoon, Deadman's Tale, and Agger's Scepter catalysts will be moved to the playlist activities, Strikes, Crucible, and Gambit. In addition to these 3, they've also added the ability for 3 catalysts that have been absent from Destiny 2 to drop from playlist activities as well. Here's the full list of exotics that are going to have their catalysts added to these core activities: Hawkmoon, Deadman's Tale, Ager's Scepter, Outbreak Perfected, Whisper of the Worm, and the Fourth Horseman. Outbreak Perfected and Whisper of the Worm in particular have both had their requirements for completing their catalysts updated so that they can be completed without access to their original activities. So there we go. I'm definitely sad to see Harbinger and Presage go away. Those were really fun missions, especially in Presage. Such a unique mission. We've never really had that kind of horror-themed mission explored like that in the Destiny franchise. Really sad to see it go. But I'm definitely glad that Bungie's putting in an alternative avenue to earn these weapons and even to earn the catalyst tied to them. It's definitely a bittersweet change. But alright, Guardians, that's pretty much it for the biggest bits of news contained in this week's issue of the Bungie Weekly Blog, This Week at Bungie. We are inching ever closer to the release of Destiny 2, The Witch Queen. And I'm sure as we get closer, we're going to be learning more and more about the incoming expansion. Make sure you stay tuned to keep up to date with all that. Oh, actually, and before I go, we actually did have one more thing to talk about here, because Bungie clarified a bit about power prepping before the Witch Queen. In particular, people had some questions about whether or not they could hoard Iron Banner bounties. Here's what Bungie had to say. Iron Banner bounties will not be removed at the end of the season. Bounties acquired and completed at any point during this season will be retained after the Witch Queen releases. But note, bounties retained from Season of the Lost will be capped at 1350 power and not give players any bonus power next season upon redemption. Additionally, these bounties will be removed at the end of Season 16, as Saladin will be taking his turn in our rollout of vendor reworks. And as a final note, their final Iron Banner of the season will be during the final week of Season of the Lost. Next up, seasonal bounties related to Season of the Hunt, Season of the Chosen, Season of the Splicer, and Season of the Lost will be removed at the end of the season. Bounties from the Tangled Shore destination will also be removed at the season's end, and some daily bounties from general activities or destinations may be removed depending on objective or reward balancing on a per bounty basis. For example, a handful of Drifter and Gunsmith bounties are being looked at alongside some vendor work. Which also kind of confirms that the Drifter is going to be getting a makeover pass with Witch Queen as well. But there you go, Iron Banner bounties won't be removed at the end of the season, but there's really not much point holding on to them since all of the rewards are going to be capped to 1350. So adjust your prep work accordingly. But alright Guardians, that's the news and those are my thoughts. Be sure to leave me yours down in the comment section below. If you enjoyed the video, feel free to drop a like, make sure you subscribe and hit that notification bell to stay up to date with all the latest stuff we're putting out. I'm out for now. Thank you all so much for watching, and as always, I am the Black Link. You Guardians, stay frosty.